5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and welcome back. Woo. Fired up? Ready to go? Ready to go. Okay. A little bit silence, quiet. Hi over there. Nice to see you. Yeah, my camera. Yeah. Perfect, let's start. Now, have you ever met someone who really preaches the pursuit of a dolce vita, a sweet life? Oh. And is it possible in times of change to have a dolce vita, a sweet life, in times of shorter attention span? Well, Angela, here is our next keynote speaker. And Angela is Italian by birth, but please, can we have a little bit of silence? We're about to start, thank you. So Angela is Italian by birth, but cosmopolitan by vocation. And she is a leadership and lifestyle expert. She has a humanistic background and almost 30 years of experience in HR and organizational development at one of the top 10 Italian automotive companies. Ferrari? Lamborghini? No? Yes? Have fun. Ferrari, ooh, now I'm intrigued. Now, through her work, Angela empowers clients to leverage the quality of their life to effortlessly grow their business and create an organizational climate where their staff can flourish. So give it up for Angela Santi.
Here. No, it's stuck. Do you want me to take it off? I will never, ever forget the day when I was promoted to join the board of directors of my family business. When I enter into the meeting room, the president and all the managing team were sitting around the table waiting for me, ready for a small ceremony in my honor. I sat down. The president delivered a speech illustrating the massive growth of the business, which started in the 70s with a small dealership of 20 employees, and after 20 years has become one of the top 10 dealership companies in Italy, with 600 employees and 19,000 vehicles sold that year. He concluded the speech by presenting the new leader of the organization. Gentlemen, please help me welcome my daughter Angela among us. Yeah, applause! Everyone was cheering on me. We toasted with champagne, and I was smiling, looking all proud in my power suit with padded shoulders. It was the 90s. But on the inside, I was feeling like I was the wrong person for the job. And frankly, I was terrified. Now, let me ask you, have you ever felt unprepared for work to do? Hands up? Yes? All right, we're not alone. It might surprise you that even the most accomplished leaders have felt unprepared at times. And this is despite their achievement, and especially true, and this is especially true in times of transition and uncertainty. There are many studies that prove that. In particular, the professional platform LinkedIn has surveyed around 700 C-suite executives across Europe about their ability to lead in face of the pandemic. And the results show that 50% have felt not enough, not creative enough, not smart enough, not good enough. 70%, so almost all, really struggle finding the answer because they couldn't rely on past experience. And there is no wonder. Every one of us has proved that during this time, due to the pandemic, all paradigms has changed. So what was working in the past just isn't working anymore. And so what are the abilities, the skills, and the traits that the leaders of the future should embrace and embody? The leaders who will thrive in the future are those who are willing to let go of the need to control everything, to stay ahead of the curve, and to take care of their employees, of their teams. How do I know? I've tried firsthand many different leadership styles, and I've learned it the hard way. Today, I'm going to give you the easy way, sharing with you my journey into leadership and self-growth. So are you with me? Yes? Okay, so back to the meeting room. I was tasked to facilitate the implementation of the new organizational design by KPMG for the whole group. And I was expecting a lot of resistance, especially among the managing team who was losing many of their privileges. And this was a very hard task, which seemed even more unsurmountable because I was wondering, how could I, a woman in a leadership position, could be seen as credible in a male-dominated world where women are either the secretaries or the sex symbols on calendars? So I was ready for the battlefield, and I knew that I had to disrupt the cliché. But how? I didn't want to ask for help because I was too proud and I didn't want to appear weak. So I decided to look for a role model. Yes, this was a great idea. Somebody who already embodied the kind of leadership that I needed. But you can imagine that it was the mid-90s and there was a problem. Well, actually, two problems. Problem number one, the internet wasn't within everyone's reach and Google was yet to be invented. Number two, the leadership role models that we would look at today were totally unknown people at the time. So what to do? I had to do what was available. So in my search for the secret of the perfect leadership, I devoured everything was within my reach: books, interviews, magazines, courses, classes, whatever. And finally, my search led me to the one who was the perfect inspiration for my mission. Margaret Thatcher, the former British Prime Minister. And I became the Iron Lady. So, first mission was to take care of the leadership meetings. They were so long and so boring. But first, there was one thing that I had to fix. So, first break, all the men in the room, and I was the only woman, looked at me like waiting for somebody to get the coffee. And I was like, excuse me? I am a lady. You go and get the coffee. So, Mr. After Sales, please go and get the coffee. Then I was shocked because they were discussing every single details. just for one decision. And I was like, wow, 7 people in the room, they are too many. The perfect number is 1. So I have to teach them what is the way. So I was ruthless, and I had something for each and every one of them. Mr. Sales, he was too verbose, too slow. I would smash a sand clock in front of his face and keep the time. Hurry up, you haven't finished. Okay, now it's not your turn, another person. Mr. Fleet, he was postponing all the decisions. I had to take all the decision for him. So frustrating. Mr. After Sales, he was so reluctant in implementing the new policies. I marched into the workshop and personally instructed all the mechanics. So finally, we accomplished the mission, but I was exhausted. I couldn't understand. So much work was coming to my office. I was teaching everybody to be more efficient and effective, and I had to work so much. And what about my team? Frankly, I had created a yes-man army, and probably they even hated me. Now, if you want to take the temperature of an organization, there is no better way than going to the coffee machine. And here I went. So as I approached it, there were people chit-chatting lively, who suddenly would stop and looked a little bit embarrassed, sketch a smile, and then find excuse, sorry, we have to go, sorry. And I didn't understand. I was their boss, and I was the daughter of the entrepreneur. Why they were avoiding me, I don't know. Dissatisfaction and resentment were brewing day after day. And the managing director office was like a furnace of people going back and forth and lamenting and complaining my manners that were too despotic. But I didn't understand. Somebody even quit. And I was like, oh, employees are never happy. Mamma mia, we do so much for them. And they don't understand. As the months passed by, my inner voices started to talk to me louder and louder, trying to make me see what I wasn't seeing. But I was too focused on proving that I was the baddest leader to see the elephant in the room. And I continued the Iron Lady way. It wasn't until I visited the new office of a friend of mine, a fantastic facility, that the truth hit me in the face like a ton of bricks. So I stepped into this beautiful open workplace, and I watched around, and what I saw were long faces glued to their desks like statues, glaring at the computer screen like robots without exchanging eyes with each other. The coffee machine stood idle, with no one daring to break a silence that was full of fear and dread. Well, strange. My friend came and took me around the place. He was boasting about the new efficiency-driven policies that he had put in place. He showed me the beautiful open workplace, his idea to keep all employees accountable and even keep a watchful eye on each other, because you never know that employees can fake and maybe they're not working. Then he bragged about the new policy for the coffee machine. Only one person at a time. as if relaxing and having a chat with your colleague were one of the 7 deadly sins. And I was smiling, that's fantastic. But deep inside, I was thinking, what a jerk. I'm so happy that he's not my boss. Then he said, well, you know, we have to do more with fewer staff because I don't know why we have such a high turnover rate. The office is so beautiful, but people are leaving. This moment, like a sense of dread washed over me. I was no different from my colleague. And I felt so embarrassed. I too had created a similar environment in my company without knowing. Well, I immediately knew that I had to take a step back and to retrace my step and I undo the damage that I had unwillingly created. But how? I couldn't lose face. I didn't want to lose face. The opportunity came and was offered on a silver platter at the turn of the century. So who was there at the turn of the last century? You probably remember that we had to transition to the euro and have the date change. So all the IT systems were to be adapted. And it was, you remember that it was a mess. So we even took the opportunity to invest in a new IT system, a huge modern infrastructure, centralizing all the 600 computers and everything. And it was really an endeavor. It was challenging, but we really wanted to go to the end. But something happened. The IT manager who was leading the project left, suddenly leaving a team of 6 unattended and the project in jeopardy. We couldn't afford to postpone it because the end date was fixed. So we didn't have the time to hire a new IT manager. And of course, in such an environment, no one volunteered to take on this hot potato. So I was, like, well, I stepped up and I said, okay, I become the new IT manager. Ouch, because I knew nothing about IT, and I still don't know nothing about IT. Infrastructures and computers and networks and all this tech stuff. I was way out of my depth. So what to do? Suddenly, but I have an IT team. They know, they are the expert. I have to let them lead the way. And what I did, I made a powerful move. I flipped the script. I opened the door to my office, took off the mask of the Iron Lady, and asked for help. And I remember the happiness and the sparkle in their eyes, the excitement in their voices as I stepped back and let them become the protagonists. My role became exclusively keeping them aligned to the vision and to remove all the obstacles that were getting in the way. They could explore, experiment, make mistakes, learn from them. I delegated them, and I was just there whenever they needed me. I provided them all the resources, be it financials, equipment, whatever. And they were so committed to go all in. This atmosphere and this excitement was spread around all the business. And this was reflected at the coffee machine. So if you go there, you would see employees at all levels discussing problem solving, giving ideas, proposals, because they were feeling part of the project and they were seeing what was their impact in the achievement of the group vision. So this was a proof of the power of trust, of empowerment, and of taking care of your employees. So this approach paid off at many different levels. Also for me personally, because allowing them more freedom allowed me to have more freedom to retrieve my life back, to spend more time with my family, for like my hobbies and everything, and also for self-reflecting. And as I was becoming a more accomplished and self-reflective person, I became a better leader. So the aha moment came when I understood that if you take care of your employees, they will take care of everything else, and your employees come first. This is a famous quote by Sir Richard Branson, but he's not the only one who believes so. Now I see the red and, and the yellow, so I will not bore you with all the facts and figures of the innumerable studies and research around this subject by Pricewaterhouse, by McKinsey, by Harvard, and so on and so forth. Suffice it to say that they all agree that the key for success in the new era is letting go of control, empowering your employees, and being open for self-growth. So to conclude, this was my story in leadership and self-development, and it taught me that leadership is really a journey, it's a complex journey that requires a multitude of skills, traits, and that goes always hand in hand with self-development. So now my wish for you as Toastmasters, and I know that some of you are accomplished leaders, some others are leaders to become, is to reflect on the qualities and on the story that I've shared with you today, lead with intention, set the example, and create a legacy you can be proud of. Thank you very much. Sure. Do we have time for questions or?
1, 2, perfect. We can take 2 questions. So raise your hand for 2 questions before Angela disappears to her leadership. So any questions, please, from the back of the audience about leadership and lead by example? One here, one gentleman, and another one, leadership by example and the story we heard. Okay, let's start with the first question and we'll figure out. Yes, I'll give mine.
Thanks for your great speech. It was very inspiring. I did also some leadership course in my MBA, and we discussed different leadership styles. And I somehow have to believe it's not about your style only. It's also like everyone should have been treated as he needs to. I mean, this is more required leadership, and everyone has to be led different. Would you resonate with my opinion, or would you say, no, I have now this developed style with my experience and I follow just and treat everyone the same?
What I would say is, first off, take all the theories, study everything, and then throw everything away. Okay, it's not difficult because we all do that. We go to courses and we forget because we don't apply when we go to our companies. I would say that leadership is not about you, but it's about the other people. So it's about empathy. It's about understanding not only the person that is in front of you and what they need. It's about understanding the stage of the organization, because in some stages, maybe a more authoritative in American and authoritative in British English, okay, is needed, and in some other places more delegation. So it's really a balance and a combination of many different, and I wouldn't stick, to all the theories. The theory says that, and I will do that, because in the real life, it's not there. So it's very much about your ability to connect with the environment, with the context, and with the person who is in front of you.
Any other question from the back? Yes. Doing my best. I'm running. Yes.
Thank you for your great speech, Anja Achenbach from the Milliners. I would like to know where you draw the line in showing vulnerability in front of your employees.
Can you repeat the question, because I haven't heard it?
All right. So the question is where you draw the line in showing vulnerability in front of your employees.
Where do you draw the line in showing vulnerability in front of your employees?
Okay.
So you're not Brené Brown, by the way.
Okay.
So we want your perspective. You're not Brené Brown.
I'm not Brené Brown. No.
Vulnerabilities. In
So
the
vulnerability, I didn't really, for me, embodying the Margaret Thatcher of the time in my company, it wasn't really about vulnerability. It was about showing that the boss doesn't know it all, and the boss needs the other people. So to me, this is not really about being vulnerable. It's about being realistic. Okay, so you cannot, and there is also a line from what I see that has to be drawn, because there are roles to be kept, even though you are very empathic and you are not the friend of your employees. So there is always a difference in the roles. So become open, but with a grain of salt. Okay, not too much vulnerable, because then you lose credibility.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. Let's give a warm round of applause for Angela. Angela, we stay here. The QR code to give some feedback.